This is Linton Stevens. If you don't know him, where do I start? Oh my God. Bassoonist, Radio3 presenter. There's so many accolades. I was looking through your bio and I was like, I don't think I can even list them. I feel like every time I speak to you, you're mega busy. What's going on?
It's a pretty busy period at the moment. So we just got back from a Chineke European tour, 10-year anniversary tour. So that ended in Munich on Friday night.
Yeah.
That was our longest tour that we've done. That was 3 weeks, and I wasn't playing. I'm just getting back to my playing because I've had an injury, but I was there as interim deputy artistic director. Then I've got a conference next week, and then back on Radio3. So it's a busy time.
It's busy for you, and you mentioned this injury, and I just wanted to ask actually how you're dealing with that. Like, what are your strategies? It's something I myself have suffered with many injuries over the years. It's something I think that happens to a lot of musicians. What's your strategies for dealing with that when that happens?
Yeah, the thing is, I think when you're young, you and I'm implying I'm not young anymore. When you're young, you just crack on and you do it, and so much of playing an instrument becomes autonomous.
Yeah.
Like, you pick it up and it's like second nature. And just over time, things start to creep in. And what's happened for me is I've just got so much tension in my back and my shoulder and my arm. And I also kind of do a bit of weightlifting in the gym and stuff. And it's just over time, this kind of tension has crept in, and it's caused basically tendonitis in this arm. And so it got to a point earlier in the year, basically, where I couldn't really play the bassoon. I literally couldn't lift anything up. Like, I couldn't even lift a plastic, like a bag full of shopping up. So I took a bit of time off, about 2 months, which was came at a really busy time with other things as well, with radio and with Chineke. And so it was perfectly timed to have a bit of time off from playing. And actually, I've only once in my career not played on purpose, which was when I came back from studying in Germany, because I couldn't bear to look at the thing. I just needed a bit of time off from it. To digress ever so slightly, mentally I'd come back from studying and I wasn't in a very good place. So I just needed to kind of get to a space where I could bear to open it and look at it again, and it didn't feel like a chore. Anyway, so this is only the second time I've ever purposefully taken time off, and it was about 2 months. And then just coming back to it, I've just kind of gone right back to, very basic stuff, where the biggest thing for me actually is being mindful of my body when I'm playing. So not just kind of picking it up and cracking on and feeling, and I get quite nervous when I play, and so that translates to a lot of tension in my back. So just kind of going right back to the start, literally for about 3 weeks. I just played long notes and scales, just trying to be really conscious of what my body is doing when I'm doing that. So when and where does that tension creep in? And that was kind of off the back of watching a video of a famous violinist who was like, the most important thing about practicing slowly, he said it's not just so your fingers can get used to it. Obviously that's an important thing, but the thing is, if you start to practice quickly and you practice intention, not just mistakes, but if you practice intention, then that tension will transfer to the concert platform as well. So he's like, doing it slowly allows you the space for mindfulness to let your body sit at a neutral, or as neutral as it can be, to play your instrument. So that's the mindset that I've gone with coming back to playing, is, keeping it all neutral, because the other side of that is, like, I'm 40 next month. If I carry... I know. No,
that's not true. No.
I'm 40 next month.
Shocking.
So if I carry on this way, I've probably got another 5-10 years max with the way that things are, like, I'm getting to that stage now where things start to hurt, so like, and things take a bit longer to heal. So the overall thing is just mindful when I play. Yeah,
because I as well weight train. We talked about that, I remember. Yeah. And weight training is something I'm really passionate about. I think it's really good for your body. I'm hypermobile. I don't know if you...
I've got a few friends. I'm not, no, but I've got a few friends who are...
Yeah, because I am injury prone. And the weight training actually really helps that. And I think it's something that's really, really good for all musicians and people.
Yeah, generally.
To do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think also it's similar, like when you're weight training, you can't just go in and like do that with the weights.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to just straight away be out of the count. So do you do Alexander technique?
It's funny, so one of my exes, his dad was a physio, and we had a big chat about Alexander technique, and trained physios, some trained physios, probably not fair to paint them all with the same brush, have a view of Alexander technique as it being a bit of a cowboy thing. I don't think it is. I think the philosophy behind it is very clever. It's you know, we have to contort our bodies to play, whether you're sat at a piano playing a bassoon or playing a violin. Absolutely. You know, we contort our bodies, and you know, sometimes we're sat in these positions for 6-7 hours a day.
Yeah.
So this idea of finding neutrality when you play, I think, is you know, it makes sense.
The bassoon, obviously, is not always an instrument you associate with being front and centre. And I was wondering what actually drew you to it as an instrument.
Okay, I'll go right back to the top, and I'll do a really quick whistle-stop tour of how I got into the music. So basically, when I was at primary school, it was like a really great time to be at school in the UK. Music was funded very generously when I was, this is, you know, go back to the 90s. And at the time, there was a local music service, and they would go into schools, primary schools, and they'd do just literally, we were all herded into the canteen actually to do a pitch test. And the top scorers got to pick an instrument. And I initially chose, because it was the only thing on offer, was a flute, oboe, or clarinet, and I chose the oboe. Right. And then I was like quite an obsessive kid, so I kind of did a lot of research about the orchestra, because I didn't know anything about orchestras or instruments or anything like that. I was fascinated by it, and learned that the oboe was a double reed, and that there was another double reed instrument called the bassoon. Had a look at it in a book and thought, that looks really cool and different to all the others. And it's bigger, I'd like to try that. But my oboe teacher at the time was like, you're too small to play the bassoon. So I was devastated.
Oh no!
Yeah. Although, weirdly, a friend of mine was learning the bassoon. I was at the high school, he was at the grammar school. He was learning the bassoon, but wasn't really bothered about it, so I used to take his bassoon and just play it.
Did you?
Yeah, but it was really weirdly timed, so it was at the time that my oboe teacher went off. I just wanted to go to her and go, look, I can play it, I am big enough to play it. But she went off for a really long time, and I didn't have a teacher, so I never got to show her. And then when she did come back, it was when I transferred from primary school to high school. And I played for about another couple of months, and then just became a teenager and gave up oboe. And then when I was 16, another friend of mine who was at the girls' grammar school, which was opposite, my high school was like down the road, but the grammar school was opposite where my mum and dad lived. And we were really close friends, and we used to hang out kind of on weeknights. And she came back and she was like, having no idea of my history of like playing music, she came back and she was like, God, you'll never guess what happened today. And I was like, what? She was like, some woman came in, happened to be my old oboe teacher, and she asked this class if anybody wanted to play the bassoon, and she was like, it was a resounding no. And I was like, oh, I've always wanted to play the bassoon. So I was like, I gave her a little note and said, can you take that into the music teacher? And then then that was it. I started playing and used to go to the grammar school after school on like a Tuesday or Wednesday, have my lessons. And then just because it was in my area where I'm from, which is the Wirral, there weren't many other bassoonists around, so I was just kind of shoved into everything.
I guess that made you really good quite quickly, actually.
Well,
it gave you a lot of experience.
It was more like it was sink or swim. So I did
exactly.
I did grade 8, took it up in November, did grade 8 in July. But that was literally because it was like, you need to be ready for this next thing. So it's like, I started, and within 2 months I was in like the first wind band, and then they were like, oh, you need to move up to the intermediate orchestra. Right. So then I did, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know what half of these notes are. I don't know how to read tenor clef.
You're in demand.
So it was just like, right, I need to figure out what tenor clef is, how that works. And then it was like, right, and then got to like March, April, and they were like, do you fancy doing your grade 8? And I was like, am I ready? And they were like, well, you could be if you know. So I used to, I was at sixth form college at this point, and I just used to go in, like I'm one of 7 as well, so it was very loud at home.
7?
Yeah, there's 7 of us. None of them do. None of them. So it was like I would go into college early, just not only just because I really actually did enjoy practicing and stay afterwards, but also like that time in a practice room by myself was like gold dust. Like I never got that at home. I never got the chance to to be by myself. I shared a room with my brother, 5 sisters, mum and dad, and we were in a 3-bedroom house, so it wasn't, there was never a time where I'd have that moment where I was in a practice room to myself to not just practice, but also process my own thoughts and deal with being a teenager. So it was all kind of lots of things lined up.
I think that's interesting that you say that about processing your own thoughts even as a teenager, because I think that is something we all forget about instruments, and that's about art actually in general. Is it's not just about playing the instrument, it's about all your life experience with it. Because how much do you practice a day?
Now probably a lot less than I would. So I think I can.
But I suppose what would your ideal thing be?
Probably in between everything I do, I would try and get at least an hour in every day.
Yeah.
Actually, I wouldn't even say I'd do every day. I'd do an hour 6 days a week. At this point now, the kind of sad thing is, it's not. Well, this is what's been good about going back to the start, is that it's been practice for the sake of getting better. Yeah. Whereas, when you're in a huge patch of lots of work, it's practice for the next thing. Yeah,
100%.
So actually, it's been really nice to come back and just be like, right, what am I trying to improve today? Because at the moment, I can do 2 20-minute blocks, and then my arm starts to ache. Not from holding the bassoon, more from just being stuck in one position.
Yeah.
So, Well, how much do you do?
It's none of your business. Tell you what. Actually, how much do I do? Well, obviously pianists, we're notorious, aren't we, for locking ourselves in a practice room. But I mean, I would say I'll probably do about 3 to 4 hours if I've got time on a day. That's what I like to do. God. But collaborative, you're always getting it's non-stop that repertoire being chucked at you.
But practice, 3 to 4 hours practice.
I do about 60 minutes of technique, and then a couple of hours on repertoire that I'm learning. If I've got time, I haven't always got. That's what I like to do.
Right. In an ideal world, yeah.
In an ideal world, I haven't always got that time. Probably, to be honest, though, I'm so busy with other things aside from my practice at the moment. I'm probably doing an hour, but I would like to do 3 to 4 hours a day. Yeah. So I enjoy doing it.
See, I don't think I'd enjoy doing 3 to 4 hours a day.
Yeah,
I think when I studied in Germany, I was literally locking myself in a practice room for 8 hours. I wasn't doing 8 hours a day. I was maybe doing 6 or 7, but it was not good for my mental health. No, and that's why I came back and couldn't look at it, because I was like, I can't.
Isn't it? I feel a bit like I like to do the technique practice, and then I like to have the 2 to 3 hours to just work on the repertoire.
Yeah.
I do like to go into I'm sure you do as well, but the detail I really enjoy going into as a pianist, all the voicing and stuff like that. It's just something I really enjoy. Although, however, I don't have time to do that every day. This hair's got to be blow dry. It doesn't just do itself. I don't just walk in.
The glam squad. The glam squad.
This don't just happen. I wish it did. Unfortunately.
I love it.
Yeah, this hair, But yeah, so I think it's funny that I remember when I was at school and I really wanted to learn the flute.
Right. Okay.
So I had the choice between the flute and the piano. I remember they told me, you can dispel this myth for me now, that I couldn't do the flute because I had a gap.
That's rubbish. That's so rubbish.
I knew it. I'm going to come and find you, Mr. Harris, and tell you exactly what I think of you, because I really wanted to do the flute.
I think it's great that you are on piano. My piano skills are, I don't play the piano in public, ever.
Shower pianist.
Not even, underground pianist. As in, bury me underground and then I'll play.
Oh God.
I think piano is such a good instrument for any kid to learn. If nothing else, having that skill as an adult, whether you're a musician or not, I think is the most, not only I've got a few friends who aren't musicians but play piano brilliantly, God, way better than I do. Even if it's just bashing out a Christmas carol or playing musicals, which is what I do. I don't play real. I don't play real repertoire. I play it is real repertoire, but I don't play it. Having that skill as an adult I think it's invaluable. Is that the right word to say? Invaluable?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. There's so many good things that come with it.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. Somebody was asking me, when I was in primary school, we had 2 teachers that played the piano. We had the music lead and then the other lady who could play the piano, but my ears could always hear she wasn't as good as Mrs. Gladding. Literally. Loved her. She was great. Mrs. McGuigan, her name was, but you know, she would always fill in for. Yeah, I know. She was great. She could play the piano, but I was like, when Mrs. Gladding played it, you were like, that's how it should sound.
Yeah. Love that.
But like, that's a skill that like a lot of primary schools don't have anymore. Is a teacher that plays the piano or a specialist music leader, and that was like influential in me becoming a musician. Like just fostering my love of music is to be able to play with somebody playing the piano literally every single day. We'd have him practice every day. So I think, yeah, as an adult, it's an amazing thing to play the piano. But I also think that there was no reason why, you know, they should have tried you out first on flute before they said you can't do it.
I really wanted to learn the flute, so next my gap used to be a lot bigger.
But it doesn't matter because if you know, your lip covers the gap, so it shouldn't matter.
I think they just had too many kids because the flute teacher was really like good banter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it was. Everyone.
I love
and the
that.
piano teacher was not good banter.
Serious.
Like to put it lightly, she was very frightening, and he was really like wacky and fun. He's coming like these really fun outfits. Everyone was like, oh wow, you know, and it's funny how that kind of stuff can make a really big difference.
Massive difference. You know, massive difference.
It's interesting, but I think it's good to have younger teachers and younger people in classical music because then you can, you know, it's great to have people to relate to and look up to, and of course the older teachers and everything else, brilliant, great. But I think equally there's a really important place for people our age.
Yeah.
You know,
I love that you put me in that same bracket.
It's true.
Our age.
Flirty.
My very, 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 very late 20s.
You look it. I need your secrets. We could do like a skincare podcast. I love what you're doing on Instagram because I think what you've got particularly about your Instagram that I like is a really cool mix of a bit of personal life, which I personally enjoy that very much. I love seeing like the behind the scenes kind of vibes. Stellar playing, that is really world class and amazing.
That's
and all your
kind.
wonderful
Thank
presenting stuff, which I'm going to come back to in a moment. But you've got such a cool mix where people would look at your Instagram and be like, wow, he's cool. Take it. Act cool, Linton. I'm taking it back.
I am so far from cool, it's not even funny.
Oh no, you are. Like people can look at your stuff and be like, oh, he's a normal bloke.
Somebody talked to me about this a couple of weeks ago, actually. Look, like my Instagram is curated. It's a curated
Space.
Gallery of things that are going on. You know, I'm very conscious not to be too moany on Instagram, not to give away too much of my personal life. Like, you see a curated version of what's going on. You see the best bits, and that's very, very conscious as well, because the bits I'm proud of, or the bits I want to show, or the things I'm quite a gobby person as well. So the things I feel like I care about, like you know, or things that are personal to me, things to do with being a black man, not only in classical music but in the UK, especially at this time. So it's curated, and it's forward facing, but it's like a snapshot of the stuff that goes on in my life. But I'm also at this point now where I'm like, I want to step back from social media for a bit and just be like, sometimes I just go through these phases of just like, I just want complete privacy. But I also don't know whether that's because I want to seem a bit mysterious and just disappear for a month. Like,
understandable. Fair play. It's a big overwhelm doing this.
Well, it is. And also, like, but you've got to bear in mind, when I was like 20 years ago,
last year.
When I turned 20 last year.
You can get away with
it. Social media didn't exist. Like, it was 2000. I remember 2007. I joined Facebook, and it was like a big thing. Then there's MySpace going on, and all of these. But you couldn't make a career out of being online, like you can now.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of. I would say it's pretty essential now, Linton.
Well, yeah. Actually, even some of my Radio3 colleagues, like who are a bit older than me, have had to kind of relearn how to. They relied on Radio3 and the brand and being on air to have a personality, and now it's a lot more expected that you'll be online and you'll show a bit more of your personality. But also for me, like, there's always this pull of I have to be a professional online, but then I'm also like, well, that's not all of who I am, and who I am goes into every aspect of what I do. So I do like to kind of do a bit, not behind the scenes, but the real stuff that goes on in my life, like the one festival I'll go to every year because it's so hard for me to stay up past 10:30, or
now you show
like literally, honestly, I turned into a pumpkin at midnight. Or like the things, maybe bits with my family or stuff like that. That's the real stuff that's happening in my life as well, because that's part of like you hear
as an artist.
Well, everything. Me as a person, beyond being, me as an artist is just one bit of who I am. Yeah. But I love other bits, and like I think that all goes into the curated side of me that I show on like social media and stuff.
Well, I think everything in life will then also go into your playing.
Well, you go on to your next question. I've got a question for you, because you are, I consider you the younger generation than me. Like I think I was probably the last generation that lived without social media or any kind of connection, and then transitioned into that. Like, how important is that online presence for somebody like you? Did you grow up with like an importance of online presence?
Well, I'm 31,
right.
So to be honest, it didn't really become a big thing, I would say, until the pandemic.
Right,
I personally feel, I might be wrong about that, but for me, it wasn't until the pandemic.
So you were very firmly like in your 20s then when the pandemic hit?
Yeah, I was, and I was doing my masters at Guildhall.
Right, so you were still a student,
so I was definitely doing online marketing and stuff, but not probably to the level that I'm committing to it now, is what I would say.
Do you consider it now a portion of your career?
Yeah.
Right.
100%. I think it's essential. I've had some of my biggest gigs from Instagram.
Right, okay.
Some of my colleagues I've met, literally, they've heard me playing on Instagram, they've DM'd me, said, I love your playing, will you be my pianist?
Right.
Like, oh, wow. And then it's come with these incredible opportunities, which I'm really grateful for. So I think it's been an absolutely essential part of my career, because I myself didn't want to go down the road of doing loads of competitions and all that stuff. I'm just not, I don't want to say I'm not built for it, but...
No, but I get it, because I never felt like...
It's creativity to me in a lot of ways.
I think it's great for some people, like, and I think that's something I've come to terms with as I've got older. It's like competition is great for some people. I remember being in music college and thinking there were 4 bassoonists in my year, and I was like, oh, I hope we all get jobs. How amazing would that be? Like, and that's not me being, I was just like, these people are my friends. I hope we all go on to do something brilliant. Like
exactly. Yeah, that's how I feel.
When you envisioned becoming a pianist, is the career you have now what you thought it would be as a pianist, going into playing the piano for a living?
Yeah, well, I mean, it does feel like a bit of a dream come true, because I came into this all very, very late. I didn't really start having any serious thoughts about classical music until I was about 17.
So how did you get into, like, what was the path into that then?
So I wanted to be an actor.
Okay.
It's probably surprising because I'm really undramatic. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're probably just like,
never
so
known.
shy.
You're like a bit of a wallflower, aren't you?
Oh my god, but that sounds like, I love acting.
Yeah.
And what happened was, I learned the piano, but I never had any interest in reading music, and I kind of just learned everything by ear. I had lessons, but I just wasn't like massively interested in it, to be honest. I liked it, but I wasn't like, yes, I love it. But when I was 17, a concert pianist came to our school to give a masterclass, and it was a one-off thing. And a girl was supposed to play in it, and she was unwell, so my music teacher said, could you jump in and play something? So I said, yeah, okay. So I played this like diddly little Debussy piece, and he offered me a full scholarship for lessons. Yeah, and he was like, you could do this as a career. So I'm super grateful.
Did you know you could do it as a career before that?
No, I had no idea it existed. My parents are business owners.
Yeah.
None of us had any idea that this was even happening, what classical music world was, like all these concerts, everything. Like, it just wasn't something I was aware of. And he got behind me. And then, to be honest, Linton, I feel like it was really fated for me. There was a lot of times I was like, I'm not sure about this. But actually, I was looking back at like some old things the other day, and I thought, God, I was so hard on myself. I was so unconfident in myself when I was, going into it. And I feel probably that's because all these people, they'd done so much, and I felt
since like they were in nappies as well. Like there's
what
people
I should have thought was, actually, I've done really well to get here. on like such a lack of experience.
But it's dead easy to say that in hindsight, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
100%.
It's easy to look back and go, oh, you should have been easier. Because I was like, I had absolutely no, not confidence, that's not the right word, but I always felt on the back foot to everybody else when I got to music college. And I went to junior RNCM as well. But I was just like, everybody is just so much farther ahead than me and has like established themselves, and their parents are musicians, and I'm just some idiot from the Wirral who enjoys playing the bassoon. I didn't believe in my own musical interpretation, or like my own musicality, or my own artistry. I just need to get better at the bassoon. Yeah. I didn't believe that I had any authority to be a musician.
Obviously I have a huge amount of goals I still want to achieve, but I'm really proud of where I've got to, and I'm playing some of the best opera singers in the world and everything else, and it's great. But I think what was so important was mentors and good teachers who really got behind me, and when I was a bit like, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore, they were like, no, don't be silly, don't be ridiculous, you know, and that was mega important, those teachers getting behind me.
I think it always reminds me of a quote from Michelle Obama, and this is something I think I've realised a little bit, just with all the things that I do. Not just music, because I do loads of other things around, like to do with music, but within the music world. She talks about in her book, like there was many times where you'd sit around the table and realise that a lot of the other people around the table are kind of blagging it or not really qualified to be there, and you can't start to understand nepotism and how that works. It's not that I look for that when I go into a room, but understanding that now has given me the confidence to go, well, I might not have what you have, and might not have what you have, but I'm pretty confident with what I bring to the table. Definitely. You know, I know that I have. Do you know what? If my strength isn't needed or isn't valuable here, like I know the value in what I bring. Like, and so it's just allowed me to go into meetings and spaces and know that, like, actually there is authority in what I bring. Like,
yeah, and I have realised, for example, my versatility as an artist has been, I would say, my secret weapon.
Right.
Because certainly when I was studying at Guildhall, I felt sometimes my colleagues were a bit like musical theatre, jazz, pop, and I was like, no, I'm going to stick to doing that because I like doing it alongside. You can do it all, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You really, really can.
I think you can.
And, and I think if anything, they all inform each other.
Yeah.
You know, and everything's got something important to give. And I'm really glad that I did have the strength of character to like stick to my own path, although it was a bit difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
Because especially when you're studying, you get dragged into it.
Well, and also like the music college world, it's like its own microcosm that exists separate from any other music college, but also separate from the real world as well. Yeah. So like when I was at music college, and I always say this, like, and it's something that really annoyed me looking back, but I think it's changing now, but like there are so many great things you can do with the music degree. Teaching, production, like all sorts, stage managing, artist managing. Like a music degree, even an instrumental degree, can prepare you for so many different things. And it annoyed me, like, that when I was at music college, the only success that was celebrated was you have to go out and get a job in an orchestra as an orchestral musician. Yeah. And if you don't do that, you can be a successful freelancer, but you really want to get a job. Yeah. And then if you have to teach, if you have to teach full time, that's the kind of booby prize. And then everything else is not really celebrated at all. And yet, like, look at what you were saying. The most inspirational people often are amazing teachers that can get you through times when you want to give up. Yeah. Or like incredible artists and admin teams who kind of make everything happen, bring together huge artistic visions that take a lot of vision, and a lot of ambition. There's so many things you can do. And for me, because I remember back when I was in my 20s, when I was about 25, 26, I came back from Germany and started a medical degree because I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Did you?
Yeah. Oh, I realised very soon how hard that was. And I got a job with a brief contract with Opera North. So then I went back into music. But there are so many things that you can do to have a well-rounded and fulfilling career from music. And playing is not just playing. And so many people from my generation now, who I was at music college with, have gone on to kind of study physiotherapy or go back and do an arts degree or, do other language degrees, things like that. Things that complement and supplement the music. And the great thing is playing to a certain level, for me and for a lot of them, they never want to lose that. So that will always be there, always be a form of income, the main form of income, but on the side, exercising other parts of your brain as well.
I think it's good for creativity.
I think it's amazing
and
for creativity.
Artistry and life experience. I think it all comes into it, and I really believe it's super important to have other stuff.
Yeah.
Because also, like you say, Linton, you never know what's going to happen, and if you get an injury, for example, it's like then if you're only playing, oh my God. Whereas if you've got all these other things...
Well, perfect example, this time last year, snapped my finger. Which one was it? This one, I think. I snapped my finger, yeah.
Stop doing these things.
I'm the clumsiest person in the world. Snapped it. Do you want to know how I snapped my finger?
I don't know if I do.
No, I was literally putting a blanket on the couch and I pushed it into the gap in the couch and I just heard this and my other half was on his way out and I was like, oh, I've done something to my finger, and it was literally just hanging there and I was like this. And he was like, does it hurt? I was like, not at all. He's like, I think you should go to the hospital. I was like,
Did you ignore him?
No. He was like, and this is the other thing. So I had literally had a patch with Aurora starting the next day. So I'd spent the last 4 weeks learning Beethoven 7 from memory. So it was there hanging, and I was like, it doesn't hurt, so it can't be bad. But I better go and get this checked out. So I went to the hospital and I was saying to the doctor, I was like, listen, like, can we hurry this up? Because I was literally just about to start practicing, and I've got work tomorrow. He's like, you're going to be in a cast for the next 10 weeks. And I was like, damn it. But to your point,
oh no,
I was broadcasting at the time, so I was really fortunate that actually I was able to throw all of my energy into that, and which was great for my mental health. It meant that I wasn't sitting around doing nothing for 10 weeks.
Imagine.
I was still immersed in music, so it was very, very lucky that I have these other things that I do.
Oh my God, I can't believe you just told me that story. I'm like haunted. What do you think is something that's really hard to master about the bassoon that people might not know about?
I mean, I find playing the bassoon hard. I don't find it easy.
It looks hard.
Some people are just complete naturals. I think of one of my bassoon heroes and a very good friend of mine is Amy Harmon. She looks and sounds like she was born to play that instrument. For me, it's a lot of work to get to a point where I can think about a piece of music and how I want to play the piece of music musically, rather than just getting it technically under my fingers. Some people are real natural musicians. For me, I have to work hard at being a technician on the bassoon before I can be a musician. So do you have a technical regime that you do? Not really. I start with long notes, which is just for stamina, and then I'll just work through scales. And then there's a book by Ola Christian-Dahl, who is a bassoon professor in Germany, called Drills. So I might throw them in for 15-20 minutes each practice session. But I like to get into. I'm impatient in that, I'll do the technique stuff, but I like to get into music quite quickly. Yeah. I like to get into playing music quite quickly, or I like to get into feeling like I'm doing work that I'm going to have some immediate gratification. From whereas technique work feels like a long-term thing. So it's very much I'm doing this because I have to. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, scales and arpeggios. Yeah. I actually love scales. Yeah. Technique practice I hate, but I love playing scales. Interesting. I love playing scales. Yeah. Loser. No, I'm joking. I'm so joking. Oh God, that's funny. That's amazing. Because do you know what I love about the bassoon? Something I've always really enjoyed about it as an instrument is I think it's really got a very big emotional range. I don't want to say potentially in comparison to other instruments, but I think that's one of its really special qualities, actually. It can be really comedic, and then it can be really melancholic, and I think that's an amazing thing about it. And what do you do to try and find different, interpretations and emotional ranges on the instrument? I am most happy in the emotional area of playing the bassoon. I don't love just being a bopping away bass line, and I don't mind the comedic side of it. It's part of the nature of the sound of the bassoon, which is what makes it so versatile. But I love the emotional kind of side of playing the bassoon. I love doing the technique stuff as well, and you know, when it sounds flashy and I can get it right, that's great. Yeah. But for me, it's when I can express something really, truly moving. And one of the reasons I love Amy's playing is because she does that so effortlessly. She sounds like a singer when she plays, and that's something I often think, God, I could only want to strive to be able to do that. She's such a beautiful player. So I like to think that's where I feel most at home, and that's where I probably put most of my kind of cogitation around what I'm doing when I'm playing, is how can I make this feel and sound expressive and be moving for me, but also for anybody listening as well.
I feel like I'm the same with piano.
I am not obsessed with the bassoon. Some people are, and it's great, and they are fantastic players. I am not obsessed with the bassoon. Yeah. I love it so much, but I'm not obsessed with it. How
does your experience as a performer make you think and talk about music, and how does it inform all your stuff that you do as a broadcaster?
I'll tell you about how I got into broadcasting, because I think that then informs this question. So for quite a while now, have been involved with the Musicians' Union. We talked a little bit about the dichotomy of being a black person in classical music, and the dissonance that has being in a lot of white spaces, a lot of music, not so much anymore, especially not with Chineke actually, but music by white Western male composers. And so activism became a real part of just how I found purpose in music. Activism through music. I would have probably got into activism anyway, but you know, through music, that's how I found a legitimate and honest way to talk about my own personal experiences, but also to learn about other people's experiences and to advocate for people, you know, from marginalised backgrounds, but you know, throughout the industry, and then seeing where the gaps in our industry are, and the things we do well, but the things that we don't do well, and advocating for justice and social justice through classical music, but then in the wider world. I was chairing the Equalities Committee for the Musicians' Union, and then doing a lot of talks, and it's somewhere where I didn't feel uncomfortable, and at that time as well, I didn't really feel like I had anything to lose by challenging the norms. I remember one of the first things that I said, it was at a conference maybe 10 years ago, and the theme of the conference was diversity. And it was the first time I'd been in a conference, and I sat at the back of this room and everyone was having all of these chats. And I was just looking around myself, and I was just like, and they were talking about how we can do this, and how we can do that, and how we do this really well, and how we do that. And I was just like, I kind of put my hand up sheepishly, and I was like, you know, we're all talking about diversity, but I'm the literal only brown one in this room, and 80% of you are men. Like, how can you speak to the experience of diversity? How can you understand what it feels like to bring people into these spaces if there are no people to I'm the only black person at this conference. What are we doing? We're not in a space to talk authoritatively about diversity, because there is very little diversity in this room, and often in spaces in classical music, there's a lot of people from very, very similar walks of life, is what I was saying. So I was, and I remember being on another panel, and a CEO of an orchestra was talking about how, we do this and we do that and we do this, and it's so great. And I was like, how are you? Your orchestra is all white people. Like, how are you measuring the diversity? How are you measuring the skill sets? You're talking about education work. How do you measure that for a musician when they come in? Because all they have to do is an audition. Yeah. They're not measured on how well they teach or what their experience is. There's just an expectation, and most orchestras back then didn't run any kind of training programs. So, but it wasn't me being, I'm going to be really clever and challenge the norms. I was just like, I'm just saying what I'm seeing. Yeah, and nobody else seems to want to say it.
100%.
So anyway, maybe I was a little bit contrary. I was quite gobby. A friend of mine worked for Radio3 who had known for ages, and he was like, you know what, I've listened to you, I think you'd be good. Maybe come and do some voice tests for us. So I came in, And the first voice test I did came back from the head of the station at the time, said that there was no personality in my voice. So, but look, it wasn't a career aspiration, so I was like, well, you know, you win some, you lose some, fine, whatever.
Personality. I disagree.
Well, but you know, it's all about having the right format to do it. So I was just like, well, you know, it was nice. It would have been a nice thing, but it wasn't an aspiration. And then I did a couple of these panels, and another producer came up to me and she was like, look, I know you did these voice tests previously. I would like to get you back in. And so I ended up doing a show. It was all about musical connections between pieces I loved. And the feedback I got was that I just had a way of expressing what I love talking about, which was, you know, the things that inspire me in music. Like I remember particularly talking about Mars from The Planets by Holst. And what fascinates me about that is not just the music. Music is incredible, like amazing music, but it was the kind of the connection to, this is where the geek in me comes out, the connection to like the planet Mars and the representation of spirituality. Space fascinates me. So just talking about things I just love in I hope an authentic way. Now, like there's times when I have to give facts and figures and things that go along with that, but I always find a strand, or I always hope that I find a strand that feels authentic to me, and like I really love this piece because there's a really crunchy F sharp there that the bassoon plays, or just listen to the clash here in the woodwinds, this is really beautiful, you know. Because I'm not an academic, so I can't talk about music massively academically. I know a few things, only from my own experience, but I can't talk about, you know, this type of harmony or this progression or this, that. I just talk about how it makes me feel. And that then led on to the podcast that I had, which was called Classical Fix, which I literally was taking over from somebody else as a guest presenter, and then ended up doing quite a lot of episodes on it. And I was in my element there because I was talking to people who didn't usually engage in classical music about classical music, and it was really easy to find common strands because often it would be about kind of personal experience or emotion or what they're hearing, you know, that was really easy for me to relate to. Yeah. And then I think what was nice about that is that I could bring a little bit of my own knowledge from having spent 15, 20 years sat in orchestras. The way my musical career informs my radio and presenting career is that it allows me to talk authentically about what I've experienced.
Yes, 100%.
Which is not academic or you know, highbrow music making per se. It's being in with other real people making music and the things that come up, you know, about making music. That's the good things and the bad things, you know.
Well, what I would be interested to know is whether you have any funny little behind the scenes stories. For
what? For music or for broadcasting?
Broadcasting.
Do I? It's fun. It's interesting because I ended up falling into broadcasting in the way that, like, I think a lot of people do. It's not necessarily that it wasn't a career aspiration. As soon as it kind of became clear that this is something I could do, I was like, right, I want to aim for this. Which is why I asked you, did you envisage your career going one way or another? Because I never envisaged myself being a broadcaster or an authority on classical music. So when I kind of got into Radio3, I was like, I'd just love to go and see what other people do, because it's actually quite, you don't see other presenters very often. We're in the studio, we're out, we're doing broadcasts, you have to very quickly become quite confident that this is the way you're going to do it. So I did a lot of shadowing, and every time a lot of people would say to me, have you had any disasters yet? And I'd be like, not yet, no big disasters. Touch wood. And they'd be like, well, they're coming, don't you worry, they're coming.
Oh no!
Like, it's just a rite of passage. It's just a rite of passage.
Oh God.
I've never had any terrible disasters. I did have one when we're broadcasting a live concert it's timed to second.
Yeah.
You know, your link has to be a certain number of seconds,
Definitely.
and then if there's a stage change, there has to be a certain number of seconds. And there was one where I was doing, I think it was the Halle broadcast, and the piano got stuck in the stage in one of the like plug holes or something like that.
Oh.
So can I tell you, like, when you have to fill, like, it means literally just talking off the bat. And what I would often do is write just a load of fill stuff that I could use if I needed to.
Yeah.
And I've always been quite happy with letting the room breathe as well, like leaving a couple of seconds of air so you can hear atmos in the room, in the hall. I think it brings the kind of listener into it a bit. But oh my God, yeah, this piano move we were given. We had an interview that was being played in, and then I had like a couple of minutes of fill if I needed it, and then into my next bit of script for the broadcast. Anyway, like, I was getting closer and closer to the end of this fill, and I was thinking, and the piano is still on the stage, the violin chairs still have to be reset, everybody's got to come back on stage. I was this close to starting to read the people who had donated money at the back of the programme, like, but fortunately we didn't get to that stage. There's nothing more scary than having to do that. When you've done it a couple of times, you get used to having, and it's like talking about what's going on in the room. Well, you know, the forces for this next piece are considerably smaller than they were before. We've lost, you know, a couple of desks of violins, and this, you get, or you talk about, well, the hall is really full tonight, lots of smiles on people, and the audience really seem to respond to this. When you've done it a couple of times, you have your own little formula for things that, you know, you can comment on. There's an incredible, the soprano was wearing this incredibly, you know, flamboyant dress that was full of flowers and this and there are things that you can talk about, but when it first happens, that like rabbit in headlights moment is so scary.
Is there any jokes ready?
No, I'm not a comedian. Oh my God, I'm just not funny.
You are funny. Stop this immediately.
No, I am not. I am not. My style of joke is like dad jokes. Like,
I love a dad joke.
I love a dad joke.
I enjoy a dad joke.
And the worst thing is, I'm the one who finds them the funniest when I make dad jokes. So yeah,
what, when you tell
when
them?
I tell them, literally, I think I'm there pissing myself when everybody else is like rolling their eyes. So yeah,
that is funny. Oh my God.
Yeah, so that's like the most extreme I've had in a concert. I did have the other week, oh my God, I was on air doing breakfast the other day. It was only about a month ago, 2 months ago. And we were playing two pieces back to back. And I had just, my mind had wandered off, and I was looking at the newspaper about, you know, a potential story I could talk about on air. And usually you get 30 seconds, 10 seconds, mic live, and the green light.
Yeah.
But I was just there enjoying these two back-to-back piano pieces, and then the mic went live, didn't have a warning. That was partly because the producer can either say it into my ear or into the room, and he must have said it into my ear because my headphones were around. And I thought we were still in the first piece. So the green light comes on, and I was just like, this is live to the friggin' nation, right? And you could see the studio producer on the other side. He just felt so sorry for me because he couldn't really do or say anything. So I started mumbling something. I was like, do you know what? I'm really sorry. I've got myself in a little bit of a muddle. Just give me a second and let me figure out where I am.
That's good.
And actually, you know what? It's authentic. It's live radio, you know. But oh my God, like I was just like, shoot me now. And then we got into the next piece, and they were like, and he was like, what happened? I was like, I don't know. I thought we were still. I didn't hear the segue. I thought we were still on the first piece, and you'd accidentally brought me in. Just gonna blag it. It was quite funny.
That is funny. I can imagine though, it would be very...
It's just like the thing is, nobody's going to die. You make a mistake on air, no one's going to die.
I feel like that's the musician thing though, isn't it? Because I feel like sometimes it gets very instilled in you as a musician.
Yeah, oh my God.
No mistakes ever, or you'll lose your entire career.
That's what makes live music the most beautiful thing. Like a horn splits a note, well that's in that moment. And it's great. It's great if everything can be completely perfect, but it's part of that. Music is it's an art form that we experience in a moment of time. Yeah. So like that's what makes it unique. It's not a recording that we can hear over and over and over again where it's always perfect and loads of takes are done so it's like pristine. Yeah. This is what
it's
makes
an art form.
Yeah. And that's what makes it beautiful and spiritual as well, because this is very philosophical, but like we experience life in a series of moments, in a collection of time. It's like music will then be that part of that life and that moment and that passing of time, and that's what makes it like super unique. Is, you know, there might have been a bit of a slip there or this or that or the other, but it's what makes it amazing. And at the end of the day, it's music. Nobody's going to die if you make a mistake.
Oh, I mean, actually, Linton, I want to circle to something I read on your Instagram which really resonated with me. No, you like cocktails, don't
No.
you?
What's your favourite cocktail?
Wow, yeah.
Let's get on to the real stuff.
Me and a margarita.
I love a good margarita. My other half makes a great... I don't mind a spicy one, but my other half makes an amazing margarita. Oh my God.
I'm about to come find
Like,
out.
you'll have to come round. He makes the best margaritas. And he does, by the way, an amazing roast dinner. Just saying.
Margs and a roast.
Literally.
Wow,
like,
this is
yeah.
crazy. Oh my God.
Yeah, although he hasn't done it for a while, I'll have to get him to do it next weekend. Yeah. Yes.
If anything's come out of today,
It's margarita. Margarita Thursday, yeah.
Love it. Oh my God. Well, aside from my love of margaritas,
Right.
a quote that I read on your Instagram, because this is something I've felt for a very long time.
Okay.
And when I read it, I was like, this is the first time I've read someone else say this. And it was something, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was 50% of the time, a lot of newcomers to classical music. Can you say it, Linton?
Yeah.
So I say it wrong.
So it was for the other podcast I'm on at the moment, which is...
We don't mention that here.
They asked me what is my classical music hot take. My classical music hot take is that, I mean, I actually think this percentage is higher, but I just wanted to be a little bit less contrary. I think a lot of the time it's other audience members that make classical music inaccessible to newcomers, because there are... And I say that from my own personal experience, because I've been in a concert hall. I can't sit still. I will guaranteed fall asleep in the slow movement. Doesn't matter what symphony it is. Like, I will yawn when I'm bored. This is something I've learned a lot with working with multi-story, is thinking about the way that we consume music. So in this day and age, everybody's got headphones on, head down, and you can literally listen to anything that you want through your mobile phone. But I think there are different cultures of consuming music. Like, the ultimate expression of music moving through you and enjoying it is to move to it, to dance, to exclaim that you enjoy it. Like, there's lots of different cultures for consuming music. We talk about the culture of types of music and genres of music, but actually there's loads of different cultures to consuming music. Like, in a lot of countries in the continent of Africa, music is like, think about what music, even classical music, grew out of dance forms. And you know, in lots of cultures in Africa, in African countries, music is used for as part of like cultural celebrations or events, you know, deaths and funerals, or like a child becoming an adult, or a wedding, or some kind of, you know, hunt. Like, music is used for all of these things. So consuming music sitting down, not moving for a long time, sometimes, like, you know, I think of like Marlinine, which is like an hour and 20 minutes. It's actually a really unnatural thing to do. You know, or I felt awful. There was a woman who'd brought her... I went to see Chaik 5, which is one of my favourite symphonies the other day. And the woman had brought her 4 kids, and she had a baby, and the baby had been great right up until the last movement of the fourth movement of the Chaik. And people around her were just like, you know, just constantly like... Yeah. And I get it, like, I could hear it. I was on the other side of the concert hall and I could hear it, but I was like, you know, there's so much snobbery around how we consume classical music, and actually I think there's something in understanding in classical music that we consume it in different ways, and we have different cultures of listening to classical music, and there needs to be more tolerance of that, of how, you know, how other people consume music. And if somebody sat there bopping along, you know, great, you can still enjoy it too in your own way, and maybe actually we shouldn't be as rigid when we listen to, think back to like that famous story of the premiere of The Rite of Spring, and there were literal fights going on in the audience. People were responding in different ways. So I don't know, I just think there needs to be more tolerance for how people consume music in the concert hall. Because like how many recitals have you given where everybody just sits there in complete silence until 10 seconds after you've played the last note, and then we'll clap? I don't know. I listen to it. Sometimes I want to respond to it. If I feel a gorgeous bit, like, oh, that's gorgeous. Like, that was so nice. It does feel quite rude to say audience members are the problem, because if you count yourself as a generic audience member of classical music, but it was less of a you are the problem and more of a, okay, do I contribute to this problem? Do I contribute as somebody who's... Because I was sat there when this lady that I was saying had brought her kids to the concert. I was sat there, and the first time I was a bit like, where's that sound coming from? And then I was like, she brought her kids. So, isn't that great? She's exposing 4 young kids to live music in this concert setting. So the baby starts to gurgle. It's a baby. That's what happens. Yeah. We were all babies once. Grand. Yeah. And how amazing it is. She's got 4 young kids, all under the age of 10, I'd say, listening to this. They'd listen to a piano concerto, a new piece of music, an overture, and then what I consider one of my favourite symphonies as well.
I always would like to finish on is something just completely random. What is your go-to filling for a panini? What would you choose? The hardest question.
That is a rubbish question. And I'll tell you why. Because that is an assumption that everybody needs a panini. It's because you're a southerner, isn't it?
I am an Essex girl.
You should have gone, right, listen, if you were...
Just panini on the mind.
Listen, from broadcaster to broadcaster, right?
I take it back.
Listen, when you are speaking to a northerner, ask them what their favourite pasty filling is.
No!
Yeah. Honestly.
Oh my god.
And my answer is baked bean and cheese.
In a pasty?
Yeah. Have you ever been to Greg's?
What? Oh my god. I went to Greg's this very morning, actually.
Right, listen. Next time you go in there, baked bean and cheese pasty, you will... Right.
I don't know about this.
Next podcast, come back and tell me what you thought of Greg's baked bean and cheese pasty.
This might now become a theme.
It might.
Be like
What's your... What pasty are we trying today?
I don't know about this. I mean, I like to take a risk, but that
panini is just... It's not my food of choice. So
what is your food of choice?
A pasty. Absolutely. Look, I'm a northerner.
It was all going so well.
It was, right up
until... We were having such a good...
What's your panini filling?
I do just like cheese and tomato.
I mean, look, it's basic, it's reliable,
I know
it's good.
bad.
Okay, pasty filling then.
I have to tell you, I don't remember the last time I ate a pasty.
Well, there you go.
Oh, should we go now?
Yeah, right, that's what we're going to do now.
Goodbye.